What's up, everybody? Daily Betslip on a Friday, September 23rd. I'm Reed Wallach. That's Donnavan Smoot. Loaded show for you today. We got your best bets for the weekend, our best bets for the weekend. We're going to do our little Friday news segment where we predict the Week 3 NFL hot take. And then, of course, our game of the night, Syracuse versus Virginia, Western New York's best football team, not the Buffalo Bills. It's the Syracuse Orange after that thrilling one over Purdue last week. So, loaded show. We got a lot to get to. Donnavan, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Listen, it's a good Friday. Faded up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, really.
Ready to go. Yeah, so we're good. We're rolling.
So we have a lot to get to, so let's waste no time. Let's get to the community best bets. We have 4 for today, and if you have any other ones, we'll flash them across the show on the bottom as the show goes on, and we'll maybe comment on them as they come through. But let's get our first one up. We got 2 college, 2 NFL, so let's bring up the first one. Sean Mitchelson at the Sox Fan 24 chimes in, says USC team total over 37.5. Expecting a shootout with USC averaging over 50 points a game. This, of course, referring to the USC-Oregon State game on Saturday. I will have some thoughts on this one during our best bet segment, but can't hate the look. Total of 70.5 now. These are 2 obviously explosive offenses. USC's offense, I would argue, is the best in the country at this point. They don't move super fast, though. So they're like bottom third in tempo. I'm curious if they're going to have, these drives have went a little long. They scored 45 against Fresno last week. But if they get 1 or 2 stalling drives, all of a sudden this gets knocked off its pace. So I'm curious to see. I do like that he's staying away from the side, though. Donnavan, any thoughts here?
I think I don't know. I feel like whenever no, it's because it's like I feel like when the total is this high, you're kind of begging to ask for the under, and so I feel like we might low key get a kind of a tighter game than and like a slower game than what we're expecting. So I'm not 100% sure on USC because of all the things that you said. So I think like I might, in terms of like team total, that might be the one that I'm staying away from.
Yeah, we actually did our betting trends piece. I'm trying to pull up the exact number on unders with totals over 70. I want to pull it up, but I believe overall since 2013, 55% of games have gone under the total. Conference that knocks up to 56% over the last 10 seasons. So gigantic sample size with a total over 70. So maybe want to go contrarian. I don't hate the look, though, at team total over 37.5. Need about 5-6 touchdowns. So I don't hate the look, but we'll get into some USC a little bit more. But let's get our next best bet up. I think I agree with this one. Yeah, Parker Lane at P Lane 5 checks in. Says Washington State plus 6.5 hosting Oregon. Wazoo is one of my teams going into the year. Bo Nix, I looked it up. I tweeted out the other day. His home road splits are absolutely absurd. If I did if I didn't show you that was the same player, you would think it's like Bryce Young versus some quarterback from the Sun Belt. 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions at home across his career. 12-12 touchdown interception ratio when he goes on the road, according to Sports Reference. So, this is like a tale of 2 quarterbacks here. And now he's going to first true road game, impact 12 play. Washington State is a really good defense. I think the Cougars could hang around, low scoring game also. I might look towards the under there.
Yeah, I think that I like this play as well because I think Oregon, they're still kind of riding high on the BYU win. And but what we've seen kind of, from the last 2 years, like they are a little bit like up and down. And so I think the fact that like you go out, kind of redeem yourself from the big Georgia loss, have this like big moment from BYU. And before you have the matchup with Stanford and Arizona, then you have UCLA, but it might be like an early trap game for Oregon. So I think that Washington State may be able to hang around in this one.
Yeah, I don't hate the look either. So there's our 2 college plays, 2 Pac-12 plays, I should say. But let's get to the NFL here. We got 1 road favorite, 1 home underdog. Our first one is going to be Bob Carson checking in at Go Gales. He's taking the Niners minus 1.5 in Denver. Sunday Night Football, of course, Trey Lance, fractured ankle. He's going to be out for the rest of the year. Jimmy Garoppolo, it's your team now. Quite the stroke of luck, I think, that the Niners end up hanging on to Jimmy G after they shopped him all offseason. I'm very concerned about the Broncos. I think this line movement is keeping me off of it, though, because now like my intuition is take the Broncos as home underdogs. This is like a bit of an overreaction Whereas long-term, I think the Broncos have some serious issues, but I kind of lean towards the Broncos side here. What are you thinking here, Donovan?
I like this play. I like the 49ers a lot. I think you look at everything that Nathaniel Hackett has done over the first 2 weeks, and he's just showing that like he might not be ready for this spot, like to be a head coach, because there's just some glaring errors that he's doing. And on top of that, his errors have been so massive that we haven't really been talking about Russell Wilson and the fact that he's not really cooking like that, and he's not being the quarterback that they thought that he would be through the first 2 weeks. They were in a close game with the Texans in their home opener last week. So I have serious concerns from a coaching perspective and from a quarterback perspective for Denver. So I'm gonna go with San Francisco, who at this point, like now that Jimmy G's back in, it seems like they're not like wishing for something crazy to happen. They could just kind of run the show, and that machine can just keep moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get our other one up. Looking at another marquee matchup, I think. Dylan Patel at Dylan 17P. Taking the Colts, catching 6.5 against the Chiefs. I am actually on this. I got Colts +7. I also like +6.5. I think that it's time to buy low on the Colts. We know I've said on the show, I like the Jags moving forward. I think that they're going to win the division, but I think that the Colts can hang around here. Home underdog spot. I think you could see a Chiefs team that tends to play with their food sometimes. I think you see a spirited Colts outing. I mean, if they fall to 0-2-1, you're starting to question, like, is this season about to go off the rails? So I think you see an all-hands-on-deck effort. It looks like Michael Pittman is going to be on track to play. That is a huge, huge boon to this Colts offense that desperately needed. Got blanked in Jacksonville last week. So I think the Colts could keep this close at home. I think we see Jonathan Taylor get going on the ground. I think, not saying they're going to win. Maybe they do. But I think like Colts within 4 points is very reasonable here.
Yeah. Ian and I were talking about this game earlier this week, and I told him that if Michael Pittman was able to play, then I like the Colts at this number.
It seems like he's on track to play. I think he's going to be a game-time decision, but he's
on track. Yeah. So Michael Pittman's on track right now. Shaquille Leonard, he's been ruled out for this game, so that's a big loss for the Colts. But for the Chiefs, and they've had like 12 games since Patrick Mahomes has taken over in 2018, where they've been a road favorite of at least 6.5 points. And while they are undefeated in those games, they're 6-6 against the spread. So I think that if you look towards the Colts in the spot, you're getting a little bit of value there. I think that it's probably the right call, especially if they have Michael Pittman on the outside to kind of help Matt Ryan out in this game.
Yeah. Totally agree there. So great stuff from the community. Thank you for chiming in. Really appreciate it. Got any more plays? Make sure to drop them in the chat. And while you're over there, make sure to subscribe to the BetSided YouTube channel. We're pumping out a ton of great content for you. But we're going to give you now some best bets for the weekend. We, of course, have our game of the night coming up for tonight's best bet between Virginia and Syracuse. But Donovan's got 2 college football plays. He's got an NFL play. And I have 4 college football plays for you. So, Donovan, I'm going to start. Why don't you give me your 2 college football best bets? I'll give mine, and then you'll cap it off with your NFL play.
Yeah, so, and I know that you have a pick on this game as well, but I will start here. I'm going Arkansas money line against Texas A&M +105. I've seen enough from the Aggies, and I promise you this isn't just like my Texas Longhorn bias. Their offense is atrocious, and it really, really scares me coming into this game where Arkansas, they're so explosive, and you look at everything that A&M is doing. They're 112th in points per game. They're 125th in yards per game. They can't move the ball. And Miami, even though that Miami ended up losing that game fairly, like, convincingly, I guess, in terms of like the point margin, they were in that game for a long, long time. They had a lot of moments where they could have went and got that game from Texas A&M. I think Arkansas is going to be able to come in, and their offense is going to be the best that A&M has seen all year long, and the Aggies just aren't going to be able to keep up with them. So I would take Arkansas on the money line, straight up. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll get to my opinion on it after. True. I'll let you finish with your play. You're going to the Big 12 though. You're a Big 12 play. Yes. Not Texas though. Texas is playing at Texas Tech. Maybe we'll get like a bonus, like really quick pick and thought on that. But let's talk Kansas State, Oklahoma. Obviously, Wildcats lose a surprising loss to Tulane. They closed over a 2-score favorite last week. They lose like a brutal loss. No one can move the ball in that game. They now go to Norman. to play Oklahoma, who just absolutely bludgeoned Nebraska. Where are you going in this game?
I'm going with Kansas State. I'm taking the points with Kansas State. For the last 5 meetings between these teams have been the game has ended within one possession. Kansas State has been able to play Oklahoma fairly close. They've gotten a couple wins out of it as well, upsetting the Sooners a couple times. So I think, again, and it's kind of what I was saying earlier with USC, the same thing kind of applies here with Oklahoma, is that you're coming off this insanely big win against Nebraska where you just blow the doors off of them and they didn't really have a chance. And even though that you're at home, this is a Kansas State team that knows what to do, knows how to play Oklahoma. Big 12 play is starting to kick off, and it's gonna happen in a really big way. So I think that 12 and a half points. I think that's enough for Kansas State to just hang around. They probably keep it close for a majority of the game, even if Oklahoma kind of breaks it off, late. I still think that Kansas State is going to have enough offense to either backdoor cover or just keep it close the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about like cash cows as a coach, Chris Kleiman, coach at Kansas State, 22, 12, and 1 against the spread since getting to Manhattan. So this is a guy who knows how to cover the spread. He knows how to play 2 and above expectation. So Wildcats potentially live for a cover there. So we're going to do what we've been doing the last few weeks. I'm going to give you one bet for each time slot. So starting at noon, I'm just going to go rapid fire here. Noon, I like TCU money line against SMU. Minus 125 is the last buy point for me. If you want to, this has gone past it, make sure to throw in a money line parlay with another massive favorite on the card. There are plenty to do. Michigan, I think, is a really good leg here. But look at TCU. They get SMU's former head coach, Sonny Dykes. He literally recruited and built this entire SMU program. So he knows the ins and outs of this entire program. He now has a far more talented team at TCU. And he brought over Joe Gillespie from Tulsa to TCU. And Tulsa shut down SMU the last 2 times. Absolutely. They won 2, both as upsets. So I think Gillespie knows how to shut down this SMU offense. Maryland last week averaged over 7 yards per play against them. So I like TCU to win on the road. I think they're the better team. And that's a dark horse in the Big 12. Next, maybe a little nervy. 3:30 slot. I'm going to go Michigan State catching 3. If you want to wait for the status of Jaden Reed, their star receiver, besides that, he has a great last name. He's kind of their do-it-all receiver. Minnesota has not been challenged yet, though. They played New Mexico State, who's one of the worst teams in the country, Western Illinois, who's an FCS team, and Colorado, who is by far the worst Power 5 team going right now. So this is like I wrote in my notes I wanted to back Minnesota, but at plus money or something. So I think that this is a big overreaction for a Michigan State team that looked a little bit better in the second half of that Washington loss. I think they get off the mat here, play hard, and catching 3 at home with Sparty. I think it's something I currently have a half unit on. If Reed's a go, I'm getting back in for more. So I do like Michigan State plus 3. Next up, game you were talking about before, I'm taking Texas A&M on the money line. Neutral field in Jerry World, but I think A&M is the better team. I think that it's a buy low spot, and I didn't want to get involved in this game, but the more digging I did, I think Arkansas is a little propped up here. Their defense is wounded. Catalan, their starting safety, he's out for the year. He's like an NFL player. So I think that's going to hurt. And you see Arkansas, all their pass rush numbers look great, but look at who they played. They played Missouri State and South Carolina, who has the worst offensive line in the SEC. So I think they're a little propped up. Now they're going up against a Texas A&M team that is getting back several starters who were suspended last week. Another week for Johnson to get acclimated as the starter. I like A&M in this game. I think they could do enough to get it done. I'll let you rebuttal after. But and then my last one, Oregon State. I'm going down on the fade USC train. I think Oregon State is the right side one, just like Fresno State was, but they didn't make money. So they didn't make any money. So what's matter? But seriously, I think Oregon State has the recipe to beat USC at home. They are 53rd in overall success rate, top 20 in explosive plays, both through the air and on the ground. They could go toe-to-toe with USC's offense. USC's defense is terrible. I think they're one of the worst in the Power 5, to be honest. They are 106 in rush yards allowed per carry, 96 in explosive rush rate. I think that Oregon State goes toe-to-toe, and I think they're live for an upset in this game. So if you want to swing on the money line, I'll just go down with the ship that is fading USC. And I see Nicole in the chat saying, can Maryland beat Michigan? In one word, the answer is no. They will not. Maryland cannot handle Michigan. Mike Loxley, coach of Maryland, 1-5 against the spread since getting to Maryland against top 10 teams. Average margin of defeat, 38.6. So no, I don't think Maryland's going up to Ann Arbor and getting a win. So there's all my plays. Donovan, we'll go back to that A&M bet though, because I know you're on the Arkansas side.
Yeah, I just listen. This game is going to be one on the ground. Like we'll see if Arkansas is going to be able to kind of do what they want to do, which is run the ball. They're third in the country in rushes per game. They're sixth in rushing yards per game. So if they can kind of wear down that Texas A&M defense, they'll be able to get it done. But even in the game last year, they came out and jumped all over Texas A&M. It only takes one play in the beginning, because if Arkansas, even if they just jump out 7-0. What are we going to wait 2 quarters for Texas A&M to kind of fire back? Like their offense just really is anemic and like they really can't do anything. And so I have too many concerns about the explosiveness of them. So even if they get down by 10 points, I don't know if they're built to come back from that.
I will give you that. Definitely. I think this is like first quarter, you could have a real good sense on how the rest of the game. Like, I'm not banking on like back and forth affair, shootout potential. I mean, low total, I believe the total is sitting at like 49.5 right now. So low total. I just think A&M, their defense is the best unit on this field. So that's why I'm leaning towards them. And I think Arkansas's defense has some questions that haven't been answered yet. So I'm leaning towards the A&M side, but we will see how it goes. But let's get to Sunday though. Let's get to the pros here. I actually agree with you on this play, so I want to hear your thoughts on Ravens Patriots. Maybe we're a little bit more aligned here.
Yeah, everybody is completely overreacting to the Ravens loss. Like, I understand Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill went crazy and Tua had the best day of his life. There was a whole bunch of busted coverages, but like those are the 2 fastest guys in the league, and so now like they're just extremely fast. And now the Ravens are going to go and play who, like Jacoby Myers and Hunter Henry. Like those guys don't strike the same kind of fear into a defense the way Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill can. Lamar just had, in terms of throwing the ball, one of his best days ever. Like, he was threading the needle on a lot of plays. He was very, very accurate down the field. He was getting the ball out quickly. Like, I think that offensively the Ravens are in a really good spot. They're going to fix, those busted coverages on defense. And I also think that against Mac Jones and, again, Jacoby Myers and Damian Harris, they're not going to be put in the position to where those coverages are going to be busted. So I think that the Ravens, inside of a field goal against the Patriots, who, barely squeaked by the Steelers last week, I love this line. This might be my favorite play of the week.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think that, my hot take was going to be the Ravens are contenders with the Chiefs and the Bills, and they were up 21 in the fourth quarter. This was the biggest comeback in Dolphins history. So, I think I was on the right track there, because I do think that the Ravens offense looks very, very good right now, and J.K. Dobbins hasn't even come back yet. So I'm with you here. I like the Ravens as well. I'm going to be keying in on them come Sunday. But yeah, great stuff on that best bets. Let's get those that recap graphic up, and we'll get to those NFL hot takes. So from Donovan, he is going with Arkansas plus 105 against Texas A&M. He's also taking Kansas State catching 12.5 against Oklahoma. He's taking the Ravens minus 2.5 against the Patriots on Sunday. And then for myself, I'm going head-to-head with Donovan, taking A&M minus 130 against Arkansas, TCU minus 125 against SMU, Michigan State plus 3 against Minnesota. And on the late night slate, I'm going Oregon State catching 5.5 against the Trojans. I will go up against USC once again. We'll see if maybe this time I could get a winner. But let's talk some NFL here. We've done this the first 2 weeks. What was it? So now I was I'm 1-1, and are you 0-2 now?
I'm 0-2.
Okay, so you went really crazy last week. You said that the Packers are going to lose to the Bears. So
I did. And again, to my credit, I feel like I was very close to a Bears comeback if the Justin Fields play in the third or fourth quarter, where he ends up short at the goal line. I feel like that could have changed the game, and they kind of had the Packers on the ropes. But I lost, and it's okay. But I'm back, and I think that this week,
I like yours this week. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so and I don't know how much of a hot take this is, and so maybe I'm playing it safe. But after this week, we're going to be counting down the days until Malik Willis is the starting quarterback. I think the Titans end up losing to the Raiders. They're 1.5-point underdogs, which I think is very, very generous to them. Through the first two games of the season, they are 28th in points. They are 25th in yards per play. They're 23rd in touchdowns per game. The offense does not look good. Derrick Henry doesn't look like King Henry. He doesn't look like the MVP back that he can be. And so I think that the Raiders win this game, send the Titans to 0-3, and at that point you start considering, okay, we need a spark to at least make the season some type of salvageable. And Malik Willis, who shined in preseason play, dual threat quarterback, can do it with his arms and his legs. I think we start having that conversation, and he might be the quarterback going into, I won't say week 4. They'll probably give Tannehill one more week, even if they lose this week. But definitely week 5, Malik Willis is like, we're going to be talking about him being the starting quarterback, and if we should start picking him up on fantasy teams and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I think that the Titans are going to look awful again, but I kind of like them this week. I know that sounds like counterintuitive. I think Tannehill's days are numbered, but I don't know if I could trust the Raiders going across the country early start time to get a win. I don't think the Raiders are any good either, but I mean, looking at the Titans schedule, I think
what does their schedule look like?
I think they get until the bye. So they go Oakland, in Indianapolis, and then in Washington by Indianapolis coming out of the bye.
I really don't.
You think I'll give you over under. Does he start before the bye week? I'll go over on that.
I'm going under. I think he starts before the bye week, because if their next 3 games, if they're going Raiders, Colts, and Washington, I think they go 1-2 in that stretch. Okay. And so they're probably going to go into the bye at 1-5, and at that point, I think everybody understands. Yeah, Tannehill's done. He's done here if he's 1-5, and we just drafted this guy in, like, he fell all the way down to him. We might as well just try and do something, especially if the AFC South is still kind of winnable, right? Because the Colts
definitely still winnable.
The Colts started 1-4 last season, and they went on a run. And so if you're the Titans, you look at what happened last year, and there's a path to where even if you start bad, you can still kind of make up ground with 4 division games left at that point. Or actually, no, they would have 5 divisional games left following the bye week. So Malik Willis coming in might be the best thing for them.
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. I think I kind of like the Titans this week, but I do think that Tannehill's days are numbered. Just, I mean, you see how he competed against the Bills last week. It's just kind of the writing on the wall, I think. Mine, I think there's a few. I think we're getting more chaos this week again. I think there's gonna be some crazy things, and I'm looking at the Dolphins. I think that they're live at home against the Bills. Everybody loves the Bills. Everyone's talking about how great the Bills are, unstoppable. Their secondary is incredibly banged up, and this combination of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill is absolutely destructive. I mean, we just talked about how they came back against the Ravens just because I don't even say Tua played that well. He was just chucking the ball down the field, and these guys are running wild. Poyer's hurt. He hasn't practiced. Micah Hyde, safety, he's out. Dane Jackson, starting cornerback, he's out. So this is a banged-up Bills secondary. I think that this is a kind of a perfect storm for the Dolphins to win. So my projected hot take going into this week and the talk of all week 3 or post week 3 will be how the Dolphins are actually an AFC championship contender right there with the Chiefs and the Bills, because look at who the Dolphins beat. They beat the Bills and the Ravens, 2, likely division winners. So I think that everyone's going to be talking about the Dolphins going into their game against the Jets, where they will likely win and be 4-0. And everyone's going to be on this Dolphins bandwagon. I don't really buy it all that much just yet, but this is just me trying to predict where people are going. So I think that this is kind of like a potential like liftoff spot for this Dolphins hype train. That's already in motion.
So, okay. So one, I think Ed Oliver has also been ruled out for this game. So that's another Bills player, Bills defender that's going to be out. I want to be. I can see this happening, but at the same time, Tua had his best day ever, and it took. At the same time, they were down 35-21. Like if we run that game back, nine times out of 10, they end up losing that game. And so if the Bills, where Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs look like they've gone to another level, which is even crazier than what we thought that they can do, if they are as good as what they looked like last week against the Titans, I think that they'll be able to hold off Miami. And you talk about the Jets game; they actually have a game before the Jets. They
Oh, did
they
I
have a
miss one?
short week. Yeah, they have a short week. They're going to
Oh,
Cincinnati,
that's not me.
and
I
so
apologize.
and so I think these next 2 weeks are I think going into the Jets game is true in terms of we'll kind of know by then what the Dolphins are. And these next two games with the Bills here at home and then going on the road on a Thursday night to Cincinnati, we'll kind of figure out if they truly are contenders in the AFC.
Yeah, I totally missed that Cincy game, but I think I guess I'm like expediting. Like if they win that Cincy game on a
Yeah,
short week, things are gonna get weird with that game, especially. So, yeah, definitely a tricky schedule for the Dolphins, and we'll see. Again, I'm not necessarily like buying a future on them. I'm just predicting what everyone's gonna be talking about
exactly.
on Monday. I think the Dolphins are live on Sunday. So great talk, breaking down kind of how we see big picture how the NFL Week 3 slate is going to go. Let's get back to college, though. We got a game tonight, ACC action. Syracuse, Virginia. Syracuse off to a roaring start, 3-0 now. They won this crazy game against Purdue last week. Virginia, not as much. They had to come back late to beat Old Dominion, our Monarchs. Brennan Armstrong's back for the Cavaliers, but out is their longtime head coach, Bronco Mendenhall. Their offensive coordinator, Robert Anai, he now coaches Syracuse as the offensive coordinator. So we have seen Virginia's offense take a step back, and we have seen Syracuse offense take a step forward. So maybe Robert Anai is the missing ingredient for both of these teams. So Virginia is in desperate need of a win. They're catching 9.5 in Syracuse, total of 54. Donnavan, what is your look?
I'm going with Syracuse on the spread. I think that they win this one fairly comfortably. They look very complete throughout these first 3 games. They're top 30 in points per game on offense and in opponents' points per game on defense. And if you look at Virginia, at least whenever they're playing FBS teams, they are outside the top 120 in points per game, points per play, and in red zone touchdown scoring. They're not explosive, they're not efficient, and if they are not able to they're only converting on 25% of their third downs. And so if you're not able to stay on the field, I don't think that you're going to be able to go on the road into the Dome and get a win. So I will take Syracuse and I will lay the points here.
Yeah, no complaints from me. I gave out this pick on the early read, which you should definitely go subscribe to and watch Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Shameless plug from yours truly. But I like the under in this game for a lot of the reasons you just said. This is a Virginia offense that is really just falling apart. They were top 10 in yards per play last year with Anai at the helm, Armstrong at quarterback. They had a max exodus at offensive line. This offensive line has been putrid. And now you look at Syracuse, it's been, Sean Tucker is like, he's going to be playing on Sundays. Garrett Schrader has put it all together at quarterback. So this Syracuse offense is going to hum, but they don't play particularly fast. They're actually 87th in plays per minute. And if there's one thing Virginia's done well this year, it's limit the explosive play. 26th in explosive rush defense, 12th in explosive pass defense. So I think this is going to be a little bit more methodical. I agree with you. I think Syracuse wins this convincingly because Hughes's defensive line has been nasty and Virginia's offensive line has been terrible. So I think something in the realm of 27-10, 27-13. I think that this is going to be a methodical game, a slow game, short week for both teams. So I think, you're looking at, maybe getting a little slow getting into it. Yeah, I just think under 54, I think you're going to see a lower than average scoring game here. So I'm happy to get that Cuse Virginia game. I said I'd play this all the way down to 51.5 on Tuesday. So it's been dancing around from 52 to 54. So I like the under. The community has spoken, though, great best bets earlier. They're also siding with you, Donnavan. Syracuse minus 9.5 is the community pick of the week, our best bet for Friday night, Syracuse versus Virginia. So I'll be hopping on Syracuse as well. I think that they get it done. Move to 4-0 and really get this ACC push going. Maybe 2-0 in the ACC. I mean, Syracuse team is building in Western New York. So, we love to see that. But that's our show. Great show. We got more coverage for you, though. Sunday afternoon at noon, Stacking the Box with Matt Verderame and Ian McMillan. They're going to give out best bets for every single NFL game on Sunday. You can check me out on Tuesday, early read, week 5 edition. Going to be giving you some winners Tuesday show. We have a ton of closing line value already, so it's very, very beneficial to check out the show live at 1 p.m. Eastern on this great YouTube channel. And while you're here, make sure you go like and subscribe so you get notified about that great content we're pumping out. Big thank you to Joanne Woodcock, our great producer behind the scenes. And everybody have a profitable weekend, and we will see you on Monday.